Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including got me on Nevex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zoopy on Phantom, I got a few nodes. Sticking my Rekt, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
All right, okay. Welcome to R2R, live stream number 123. Thank you for being here today. We're going to cover quite a bit. We're going to dig a little deeper. You know, all we're left with at this point in this whole situation is speculation on both sides of the fence. Are pretty compelling. But don't forget, if you guys are watching on YouTube, subscribe, post notifications, drop a comment, show some love. If you're over on Twitter, aka the freedom of speech platform, please follow me on Twitter. Repost this. Get all your hashtags, pulse chain hashtags, PDAI, whatever it may be. Get that algorithm pumping and grinding. All right. Where do we begin? Because we're going to get into it today. Is the PDAI exploit FUD or facts? You know, there's a big debate over this. Before we get this, take a look at the price of Bitcoin. $84,529 Bitcoin. Ethereum above 2,000. I saw some positive sentiment out there about that. People were like, yeah, it's about 2K. Let's go. We're going to the moon. All coin season's here. $2,000 Ethereum. Let's see who's here in the chat. Oh man, Omacho, welcome. Let's go. Cycle Crypto 23 in the house. Cyfex, what's going on, dog? Almost missed it. Was watching yesterday's stream and I was like, I should check really quick. Appreciate you being here. Fortune favors the brave. It could. Brave people do reap rewards, or they die. They die brave and with honor. Hello, my friend. Glad to be here. Thank you for being here. Mikey OG Crypto. Thank you for being in the house today. Thank you. Right? Don't forget, guys, you know, we're not just on Pulse Chain. We're on Sonic. So don't forget to visit my.soniclabs.com/points, code 9DEA21. Monday's members only stream. We went over a new strategy, right? Called the lending, leverage lending point strategy. I've doubled my points since Monday. Doubled my points. So look out for probably one of the world's biggest airdrops outside of Pulse Chain. Taking a look at stocks really quick. Looks like stocks are doing good. It's probably why Bitcoin's having a good day. Ethereum stocks are looking good. Gold, man, $3,000 gold. I saw a chart the other day where they were putting gold outperforming Pulse. I was like, hell no, bro. Are you telling me gold's outperforming after that Peter interview with Richard Hart? Now there's a chart that's showing it's outperforming Pulse. And don't forget, when you're shopping, man, eggs are down per dozen. If you go to the USD dozen index, you better let them know, bro. They'll be overcharging me for the eggs. I'm still paying $14.99 for 18 eggs. It's down. It's $3. That means for 12 eggs, a dozen, it's $3. Now, that's probably the price that your store buys them at, right? So technically, if they want to double up their margin, to sell it to you for $6 a dozen. So 18 eggs shouldn't cost no $14.99. It should cost about $10. Maybe like 12, you know, something like that. See who else is in here. Jay Easy. Yeah, dog. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. What's up? OG Printers be printing. Yeah, we're printing hard, man. It's been nice. It's been nice. Through all the drama. Yeah, dog. Die brave with honor. Yeah. PDAI or die trying, right? I see what you did there. You know, it's always been PDAI or die trying. Let's go take a look at the pulse. What's going on in the pulse chain? Man. 4 zeros and a 3. We were below 3 on pulse. But these are all targets I've talked about hitting all-time lows again, right? You know, there's been plenty of indicators on the chart. Like I don't go out there and chart these things. I just say I look at the charts. I know people who chart, and this was in the cards, right? X going to between 2 zeros and an 8. The lowest 2 zeros and a 3. 4 or 5 maybe. I'll buy those prices, right? Ink's got some more to go down. Pulse can go to all-time low as well. Back to its all-time low. It's like 5 zeros and 1 9. That was the cheapest I bought it, right? Like after the SEC FUD. FUD or facts, though. We're gonna take a look. Take a look at PDAI. A lot of people are like, it recovered, it bounced. It's not a scam. We're back. We're back. Like I said yesterday, a large community that will defend the price. I mean, not saying that PDAI is a scam, but every scam I've ever seen or even invested in had people after the fact of knowing and being told supporting the price, right? So price going up after something like that's not an indicator to me. It's just like there's some good sentiment there, which is good. The community's strong. So there's some believers. That lets you really tug on some hope, right? Like, hey, everything's all good. But yesterday was just kind of strange. Like with the whole Maria, just went. Everyone's calling Maria schizo now. Almighty showed some text messages on Twitter about Maria being a schizo. And the people who fight against Almighty for all this time on Twitter and X are using his words to call Maria schizo now. So everyone's like, a whole lot of fighting, bickering, a lot of things going on. Copper has been printing. Non-stop printing. Eggs still up in California. Yeah, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be, man. Man, I make a half an egg now in the morning, right? You just get a little drip out of it. Like, you crack the egg, you drip some out, you put it back in the fridge for later. Alt for Pulse was minus 15% from all-time low. It's crazy times. The PDAI is up again. This is the reality show drama. The Atropa developer looks like a transformer. One thing you got to understand is Maria, it's not like Maria made Ethereum die. It was created on the Ethereum blockchain. It was forked over to Pulse Chain. Somebody paid some heavy fees to modify it because the printing at the very beginning was talked about in roughly people started surfacing publicly, like in groups, like on X, talking about it. July 2023, more heavy. August 2023, about, you know, that it was still mintable. And there was some like upgrade or a fix of the contract. Apparently, that it couldn't be minted anymore. That was like the first FUD event. Then that was apparently fixed. But although that was fixed, and people were like, proofs in the pudding's not being printed. It hadn't been printed, like, you know, minted like this all this time that I was aware of. So that FUD event happened. It was tackled down. They upgraded the contract. Supposedly, right? No more minting. But then you have the MakerDAO scenario. There's been so many narratives inside of the narrative that have just been surfacing in these recent months. But it's not like Maria is the one who did that. When Maria had the first interview talking about the Atropa web, see, Maria built Atropa and webbed all this liquidity to support PDAI to reach peg. So I think a lot of people think like Maria's like behind PDAI. Maria built an ecosystem because Maria understood how important it is to the ecosystem. So built, Tropa in support of, trying to beg it. And in that first interview that they had in that coffee lounge or cafe, and they brought up, MakerDAO. She seemed genuinely clueless about it. She's just like, I don't know anything about it. So Maria was either a really good liar and knows about MakerDAO then, or how it worked, but it just didn't seem like she knew. She was like, what? Like, I'm not sure about it. So there was two mechanics to getting this done here. Something going on with the MakerDAO contract was forked over from Ethereum, the Intrepid Web ecosystem. Apparently, those two weren't coexisting together to operate a grand scheme to get this done. Allegedly, supposedly, possibly. I don't know. So what's going on with the MakerDAO contract now is it's interesting. Like, I gotta say one thing here. Like, if Maria was told, like, hey, this is an exploit, he got scared, maybe he's on drugs, maybe he's a schizo, like people are saying, and wanted to address this by extracting, liquidity to limit the damage of the exploiter, I could get that. It's just all to take in one moment when you see the price going down. Now that the price has recovered, everyone's giving the finger to Maria and saying, F you, we don't need you. You're a schizo. So everything that Maria did up until this point, it's like emotional thought process are spewing out on X from what I see. People that have been so invested in this and have massive investments, I'm sure, who need this to work out, who won't believe it'll work out, who want it to work out, can disconnect from Maria and everything that she's brought to the table in support of the PEG and say, F you. You no longer support my narrative. We no longer care about you, right? It's easy to do that. But if Maria is just shaking people out, because when I first addressed like the N-word, people are like, oh, Maria does that on purpose to shake out people from the tokens. I was like, why would you use the N-word to do that? Maybe because it gets an emotional reaction. I don't know. A couple of different things you could have done, right? But there was always that excuse. There was always that's why she does that, I just always just never could pinpoint how it was going to peg. I just said, you know what? You got these hopes, these dreams. You buy a bag and you see what happens, It pegs. Your kids don't ever have to work. If it goes to zero, that's not the case, right? You'll still do well, but that's not the case. If it hits 10 cents, damn, you made a lot of money for a long time to come. That's how I always looked at it. So, it's just been all the narratives now that they have become stronger have now just continued to fall. Like December's, the whole vote, Richard Hart, has to approve the vote for, X or Pulse and Pulse X to be used as collateral from the OA address and all those theories. They died off. The vote didn't go through in December, right? And that's when the price went to 3 cents in that excitement, in that moment. So when that fell off, a new narrative was born. And then now you're seeing this, what they call it, the Willy Flop auctions are now coming up. I just think, I don't know. Last week you said P-Rap Bitcoin would go under 250, and it did. I hope it's up from here. Yeah, I feel like, my price targets for the Tropa ecosystem hit. I was hoping to get PDAI at about 2.5 cents. It went below for a swift amount of time. I'm Rekt, DeFi proof of voice. Will RH make his own stablecoin on Pulse Chain someday? Is needed, or keep using the ETH version? Maria pulled the majority of liquidity, so it's actually easier to pump PDAI now. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the liquidity was being pulled. Now you can pump it The levers can pump in pretty easily. So let's take a dive into this Exploiter wallet. We're gonna take a look here. Enough talking. Let's speculate further. But instead of just talking, like, let's look at blockchain, evidence, blockchain. You kind of analyze what's going on. Because it's pretty complex, man. Like, both sides of the story are like extremely compelling. But I want to look at every angle. I see the arguments on both sides. I see Sami going hard. Sami's wallet actually got doxed yesterday, where he holds about 25 million PDAI. So that kind of changed my perspective when I go and look at his content. Now I'm entertained by the graphics and the cool emojis and the context of things and how he puts things. He puts things together. He's very entertaining. But now I see there could be some bias, things going on. Like, he's got 25 million PDAI. He needs this to work out. If you have 25 million PDAI, you're going to defend that. And especially if you're an influencer, we can actually see it happening live in real time, right? And you look at that wallet, like his best bet versus what he holds in Pulse and Pulse X, it would be PDAI hitting a bet, 25 million. So that's how I look at it, right? Not really addressing like what we're about to look at here. So what we're going to look at here is they refer to it as address ending in 5996, right? This happens to be a wallet that is utilizing MakerDAO to mint PDAI, then sell, and then even bridge out to Ethereum. I tracked it on chain. There's some other wallets doing this too. However, Sami and a few people came out and said that same wallet bridged back. I couldn't connect the dots that it was the same wallet, me personally. So I don't think that's the case. That's not what I've seen. But let's take a look what's going on here, right? Had some activities in the past, 5 hours. We can take a look at the send addresses, what's going on here. They're using Dex Finance on top of Pulse Dex also. We saw Patez. These are multiple addresses that they're sending different increments of ETH from extraction. Covering tracks, multiple wallets, nothing new. I thought it was interesting that they used SparkSwap too. That was interesting because it's not like a highly popular platform, but everyone has their reasons. So we're just going to scroll down and take a look at what we can see. And I thought it was interesting too that they interacted with Nope Token. Why is that interesting? Because Nope Token is very community based within the Randy Hilarski crew of people. I was in that group, Randy Hilarski's group, paid member, that I was I'm not getting any value because I technically I know everything that he's teaching times 2. So it was more of people that are trying to learn blockchain and get in early and it was I felt like I was in a meeting with just a bunch of people that are not from my generation, much older, right? That needed some fine tuning. But Nope Token was Randy's token, part of the SolidX ecosystem as well. So these are things that I noted, right? Obviously, this person is in the community, but closer to me in the community than I even thought, right? With Nope Token. And then SparkSwap, because I've used SparkSwap. I've had Nope Token. So to me, that was I don't know. Even though we're all on Pulse Chain, the connection was rather do I know this guy? Have I been in the same chat with him? Look at this, a plus 2 million USDC fork here. This is an interaction with, I believe, MakerDAO. Right? But you can see here, it's a multi-call action where you get the plus 2 million USDC fork. So my understanding here, with whatever this wallet's doing, because I don't know how they would exploit these contracts to mint. That's way above my capabilities and pay grade. But I see, when they get the plus 2 million USDC, I see the activity with the swaps to SDAI. Like they were talking about this as well. The swap from Pulse to SDAI, which is was random things that were popping up on Twitter. And I see $1 million USDC fork, like 1 million tokens. You would call it $1 million, but it's the fork version being sold on PulseX. I can see all of that. And then you can see, things coming over from OmniBridge, to ETH. This is the plus 5,000. So they're not doing like, they're like slowly extracting in some cases. And then all of these wallets, like you can be here for hours looking at all these different wallets to get different transactions amounts and see what they hold. But ultimately, like they end up spreading the money out and going to Ethereum and bridging it there. So this person is extracting a ton of wallets. I mean, if I can count right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different wallets. But I want to go down and see how long this activity has been going on for. Because this is one of them, another. There's also another one, right? There's another wallet that people are pointing out. And we're on the 19th. So this is still the 18th activity happening on the 18th. Like this person's putting in work. Okay, this is bridged over to ETH. You see it on the Ethereum side of plus 12,000 after extracting on Pulse Chain. 9,000. 9,000. This is coming from maybe MakerDAO. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the exploiter. So it's minting PDAI. It's selling it on Pulse Chain and it's bridging over to ETH. That's what I see. Look at all these failed transactions. This is on the 17th. So this person's just continuously, strategically exiting with the mints. I just wonder, like, I don't know. You see, that's where I want to go look at some arguments on Twitter. It just, to me, it's mind-boggling. We'll go to 9 iron. Let's look at this guy's argument first, where I first got this. Because I'll read these and then I'll add them up together, like, what makes the most sense. And this feed right here on Twitter, I think I like this one the most because Sami actually goes in there and says something. Coach X this morning was saying it's all planned to cause PDAI PUSD ratio is still 1-to-1. I don't know what's going on though. Yeah. About Coach, I mean, when I say people that are heavily invested, that's one of them. As the founder, he created a token that's based off of Hart's Law that was inspired by the Entropal Web, in Maria and PTGC and all that. They're all heavily tied into PDAI. So he doesn't strike me as the person that would be like, yeah, this shit's going to zero. He's got too many ties, too many eggs in the basket to just give up. There's got to be hope, right? There's got to be hope. Look at his project as his liver. It's part of his body, his anatomy. He needs it to work out. So I like to see people like his side of the argument too, but the only person that really matters is Richard Hart. He hasn't said a thing. The problem is most of the community can't actually read explorers and understand the functions inside these contracts. Tracking the coins is the easy part. Yeah. You see, it's very hard to go in debank, right? like what I was just looking at and see what that interaction is. You can see when the tokens get minted, that you can see. And then all you can see from there, from my capabilities, is extraction, meaning selling the tokens and exiting the system. So a good actor, in my personal opinion, would not be exiting Pulse Chain. A good actor of exploiting the contract would exploit it, mint it, keep it on Pulse, and maybe revert it back into supporting the price. If it's like an insider that's benevolent. But why exploit it to begin with to cause this event? Some will say it's planned, to shake out the weak hands. It's always going to be that's going to be always thrown out there, shake out the weak hands. Or are we at a 52-week shakeout with PDAI? It's really not an exploit if the contract is used as designed. You're right about that. So the contract's being used as designed. It's not being exploited. By design, it's been talked about that this could happen. And it's been dormant all the way till this time for a reason, right? That's how I add things up in my brain. It's now being used as it was supposed to. But going back to 9 Iron Capital, right? That's one person I've been relying on for information who knows this better than anyone that I've known on the internet, more than like a Coach X, myself, or anybody. He pieces everything together that people rely on for hopes, even including myself, like this could happen. For him to come out, along with a lot of these people who come out, that the contract was corrected so it can no longer mint, right? And then we have Make Your Down now, it can be minted. We'll look. I don't really see him addressing like this exploiter, right? I see them addressing the Willy Flop auction. So there's bad activity, but to me, it's getting brushed under the rug with the underlying idea of the Willy Flop auctions happening in the next couple of days. They're going to start reducing the supply. So that's what the hopes that we have, So let's take a look. So this guy, post the wallet we're looking at, says the PDAI Exploiter is minting new coins through a related wallet. 2 million PDAI minted in instant dump so far. Stop buying PDAI. Then you have Somni, right? And this is where I realized he's not a good source for me no longer to read, but we'll read it. I'm in the PDAI Telegram group. I see Somni's post. He literally is in their Telegram group asking questions because obviously it's very difficult to figure out. I don't know his level of expertise. I could figure it out without asking. But everything he's asking is getting sent over to him in the chat, maybe in DMs as well. And he, in a very entertainment fashion, is piecing it together like you'll see here and putting it out there for people to see. So he may or may not understand what he's even talking about, but the way he's in there questioning, somebody's spoon feeding him all this information, and he's just so quick to go and put it out there, right? But the way he's having this conversation live in chat, it doesn't seem like he understands really at all. He seems very puzzled. So verbatim, what you see get written in there, he puts it out there and expresses it and pieces it up together pretty well. So I don't even think he understands it completely, to be honest with you. I don't think he does. I definitely don't. Read this thread for full proper information. Thanks. And he refers to somebody else. Like he is getting spoon-fed information. And I find that very he's going on one side. Like that's the bias part. We know you got the 25 million PDAI, maybe more in other wallets. But for me, I'm on the fence because I can't look at this and definitely no. I got to look at all the evidence out there and hope for the best because I got some too. But he's not covering but one side. We see how your responses are in Telegram. We know you don't know. We know you don't know also. But he's weighing heavily on other people's information, which other people you can't trust. So they can be spoon feeding you false facts and be a part of a big major scheme. So that's why it's like really like it's hard to like to know. And you got these influencers are just like, you know, shoving it down people's throats. If PDAI going to $1, so like everyone's really, really confused. There's two things that can happen here, guys. Two roads here, two paths. This is either a massive extraction of value that's being slowly brought to us and is going to affect Pulse Chain negatively until it stops, which we saw Maria attempt to do that with a crazy on the fly like reaction. Like if you think of the magnitude of response that Maria took to mitigate the issue, it was like, this is a serious problem. But people took that reaction and said, she's a schizo and she's trying to shake you out. Could be the case, you never know. I think it was like crazy measures to like make sure that the system that she's worked on for so long can continue on. That's what I got from it, you know, but the other road is to $1 and everyone thrives and PDAI brings in capital that is not here yet because once it pegs, all those liquidity pools that are tied and bonded to PDAI then become worth hundreds of millions of dollars out of thin air. And it would definitely pump the prices across the board. Those are your two paths. It's either wrecked or rich in this case scenario. We're either going to be wrecked or we're going to be rich, right? The fact that Richard Hart is not saying a single thing just makes it so freaking annoying. Like, the biggest thing that possibly happened on your chain went down yesterday. But he hasn't said anything. Is there a reason behind that too? I don't know. Regardless of whatever it is, shakeout plan, one thing for sure is that Maria is a loose cannon. Is he or she still trustworthy? Yeah, that's up in the air. I mean, I had my trust regardless of the, the racial slurs, that I didn't like. I had my trust, a lot of people's trust. As a benevolent whale. But the move yesterday was benevolent, right? I haven't seen the Atropa wallet bridge out like the Exploiter. So I can go based off of that, right? And say we still got some trust. Somewhat. That's kind of where I'm at there. Anything Sami says is spoon-fed from 9iron Capital, so we should be asking about 9iron's credibility. Yeah, 9iron is not only not doxed. Let's go look at 9iron really quick. Because technically he's the one that, if there's anybody that has the most value, the most information given to the PDAI narrative, it would be him. Let's see. 5 hours ago, nice post referring to the one, right? The noise is going to rise until flop auction starts. Stay focused. This is what makes it so confusing because my brain's like, okay, you got to buy more for this floppy auction, this Willy flop auction, right? And then I see other posts are like, no, this is a massive extraction. And there's all blockchain evidence. You see screenshots like this. And you come here, you see screenshots like this. But the only thing that is starting to drive me away from 9iron is I see a pattern here. And I can't help but see the pattern. I'm not trying to FUD. I'm just saying, like, there has been event after event after event that's like, we're close to the pegging. Here's why. Like, for example, when it went to 3 cents in December with the whole vote, Richard Hart has this amount of days to approve the vote. And this is how we're going to peg. Maria, we're going to peg in February. Different things like that. But outside of what Maria said, what they saw on chain, Richard Hart's talking through the blockchain. It fell out. They regrouped, stuck another narrative, made it stick with blockchain analysis, right? Like, I see this and I don't understand it. I'm not going to lie to you. When I read what he says, then I can feel it. Okay, but what I'm feeling is I want this to go to $1. So it's giving me hope personally when I read this stuff. Like, I find myself during the hardest times of PDAI FUD coming to his Twitter for hope. And like, you know what? I'm not going to sell today. It's not a good idea, right? But do I understand what that screenshot is? No. I do this right here, just like everybody else. A maker liquidation arbitrage keeper was set up on Pulse Chain 4 days ago. It's not a coincidence. The same wallet using this keeper is also testing the flop auction functionality. Let the games begin. PDAI to $1 is inevitable. He's got a link to Block Explorer that shows you the screenshot that you see in the screenshot, right? So yeah, I've been knowing a lot of stuff. That's all I know. There's been a lot of activity with the MakerDAO contract. Richard Hart has talked about it on camera that somebody has, a MakerDAO on Pulse Chain they were going to be working on so that we can have DAI on Pulse Chain. He said it with his own words. Then you got the Exploiter. Is it one big giant scheme, or is it one big plot to, on one hand, get the fixes that are needed to peg this thing to $1 if possible, which who would put all this work in to do this other than trying to attempt it? And then on the other hand, play the be that guy that's exploiting the contract, but maybe it's the same person to create fear, to shake out people. Like, that's a lot of people's thought processes. And I don't blame you for thinking that. Like, you want to think outside the box, you can really go like, hey, this could be a massive setup for a shakeout to get rid of a lot of those big bag holders, or someone could be going through all this to make you think that PDAI could go to $1. And on the other hand, exploiting it and giving you hope. And 9 Iron Capital has never showed his face. We don't know who he is. So you got a lot, like, you just can't trust people, but that's all I've ever had was like, up until this point, with the whole voting thing, he's had 100% of my like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And I've been, a repeat visitor on here. And all the work he puts in, it's very detailed. It would take hours to find these things, I would imagine, let alone post and make it so that we can try to break it down and understand. Put a lot of work. But I've seen this work put out before and it not play out. Because of what just happened with Maria, if this Lily flop auction, when it happens in the next couple of days, when we're going down one of these roads, Rekt or Rich, okay? Because if it doesn't turn out to be what he says, doesn't turn out to help and to actually start to visibly show people that this is where we're headed, then it'll be a massive collapse in people selling, and that would force the exploiter to sell at whatever price it goes down to and bring it down even more. Because right now, if there is somebody extracting value, they're able to wait for these price jumps because the community still believes. They still got 9 Iron Capital belief. They still have, information at hand here. It hopes, whether you believe it or it's hopium, it's there, right? I can still grab this idea and say, okay, I'll hold some of my PDAI or all of it, whatever it may be, and I'll write it out, ride or die, PDAI or die trying, right? And people like me and you that are doing that, it recovers after it went down to below 2 zeros and a 2, bounces back up with a low liquidity, continue to extract at higher prices and slowly take that money. But if this falls through and the collapse happens within the community because they lose faith, PDAI Exploiter, whose only intention so far on chain, as we can see as we looked earlier, was to exploit the contract and send to Ethereum. Then he's extracting at lower prices and crashing it and adding zeros. So it can be a very like slow extraction, and we won't notice it as long as people have this belief. I bet the exploiter, if that's the case, is like, man, I wish this floppy whatchamacallit wasn't taking place for another month. I have another month to extract, because when this starts to happen and if it doesn't play out like the whole voting thing in December, like, all right, it's just gonna approve the vote, push the button, we're one button away. And I was like, yes. Like, I was like, this is gonna be a good Christmas. I believed in my heart, like all my heart and soul, like, hey, we're going to the dollar. I don't know. So people still believing this is the R8 narrative token, or are they accepting it's a Maria narrative? I don't know, man. There's a lot of people there's two sides of the fence here, and there's a lot of people lined up on both sides. R8's not saying anything in my eyes. It's very promising for PDAI. No way he let something like this big happen on this chain without giving a warning. Yeah, that's how I always thought too myself. Personally, like, he would have let this. He would have let this happen, right? But how many scams have happened on Pulsion that have lasted a long time? None. Yeah, he's posted about it. He's definitely posted about PDAI. Yeah, one just has to hold on for dear life and believe in the peg if that's your goal, you know? Like, I don't need it to peg, but if it pegs, man, that'll be freaking awesome. That would be freaking awesome. R8's not saying anything doesn't mean anything. PDAI is probably one of the most volume producing assets. Without the chain, would lose some big. Yeah, like that's the weird thing too. Like without Maria, without the Atropa developer and the web of liquidity, there's no inspiration for probably PTGC. That's where they got, you know, a lot of the ideas and extracted thoughts and efforts. There's a whole lot of things in this ecosystem that exist today that were inspired by Maria that wouldn't exist, let alone that was like the one thing that did it 10,000x to text that is even remotely related to RH, since it's the simple fact that it's on this blockchain. It's like there is no Pulse chain. Pulse chain is a worse ghost town than Phantom without Maria. Imagine if Maria never came on the scene. So it is responsible for a large magnitude of the volume and things that took place and the success on Pulse Chain as a whole. And until I see, like, I think Maria's acting real sketchy, but until I see Maria exit to ETH, then maybe she still has intentions on buying back in, like she said, out of loss and supporting, because Maria is not like the PDAI maker. PDAI was there, and she decided to build around it and create the narrative on how it's funky, because how did she expect to peg it with the Atropa ecosystem? And then say by February, what was going to change? It was like she was waiting on somebody, like Richard Hart or something. Then yesterday she said, I need Richard Hart's support. There's a lot of things that are floating around. But like, originally she said PDAI would peg by December of 2024. Then February, changed it. Well, how was Atropa ever, other than being a supporting ecosystem, I think that the ecosystem helped PDAI get from the price where it was at to where it's at today and up to the 3 cent mark. How was it ever going to get that extra boost to get to $1? It was never explained, and it didn't happen. So is she pretending like she doesn't know about the MakerDAO? Like, maybe she did, and things went wrong because it got exploited, and it was just like, I gotta wash my hands of it. Things went bad. we got to look at it that it was an experiment. It still is until it isn't. An experiment could succeed or fail. We don't know if it's failed. She knows whether it's failed or not. She knows whether she's playing mind games with us to shake out people. There's people who know. I'm sure Richard Hart knows what's going on. I'll tell you that. What's up, brother? Hex flawless operation. Yeah, it is. You can't go wrong. But people wanted opportunity, and they got that opportunity and made more money on Maria tokens than they did all the core tokens during the inception of Pulse Chain. So Maria never got any gratitude, never got any props from Richard Hart. It's very hard to read between the lines what's going on here. But she did say, hey, I want to save Teddy Bear. It was important, like, out of everything, save Teddy Bear. That's another piece of the puzzle you want to ask. Why are you trying to save Teddy out of everything? I mean, I would have been like, why? Don't you want to save everything? Don't you want to save everything? But she said Teddy. A lot of stuff that could be trying to throw us off. Oh, we print on remember. Look at that, 48%. Print. So, yeah. In conclusion, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. We'll see what good old B Roots was saying. It's hard to watch him right now. I mean, he's a grown man. He can do what he wants. He's fighting with the chick, though. It's weird. Stamp the official receipt. Haiti P ruined people's lives in the second or third week of August 2023. I should have listened to you, B Roots. I just lost on 2 million. Anonymous subscriber. Haiti P just have ruined more people's lives. Sold the bottom 3x. All right. Hello, new subscribers. My haters are mad you joined because you start making money and they are still broke, but you just made the best decision of your life. Great job. You're putting yourself first and not McDonald's or Starbucks. He puts his subscribers. Was it $30 a month with 1,300? It makes about $40,000 a month on subscribers. I'm balling. Good for him. Good for him. I don't know if he's digging on the blockchain from what I know with any like receipts. He just talking bad shit to Hexicans and everybody else. Entertaining guy. I think what really foams out of the ears from this guy that he does it live on camera is just like very insecure about what people think about him. He wants to make sure people think of him as the Moon King. Like, he did. PDAI's going down. Like he's gonna be out there fighting with women like he is right now. Which maybe that's just part of saving his image, and subscribers, and all that. I don't know. He just seems insecure about it. I think for me, I just be like, hey, if you don't believe PDAI's not going to $1, fuck it. But you don't think it is. Hey, man, I'm too old for that. I got too many kids to be fighting with people about this shit, man. It either is or it isn't. We got two roads. We're about to know very soon here, right? Unless he knows 100% the person behind it, maybe he does. I don't know, like that. Hey, this is like, look at when you zoom out, you log it. Like, this is like a small bump in the road. Like, it really, you look at the chart, you go, okay, Maria sold a Tropa and it went down like this. And it created all that havoc yesterday. Really not a big deal when you zoom out, huh? We'll look at it like that and log in on PDAI. Same thing. If you want to reflect the charts, which doesn't tell the story if there's an exploiter that's scamming everybody. This would be like one of the biggest scams in DeFi history. How long it's really played out like that, right? Beaver seems like he's deflecting because Bear was his biggest shill. I mean, he's got to take a back seat with Bear to most wanted token. I know he was bragging about like most wanted hit my target. Like, great. It should have went below your target because all the pulse chain melted, right? So unless he knew that was going to happen, it doesn't happen without that meltdown. So when people do charts in epic events where we go up, you're right to the upside. In very dramatic drops, you're right to the downside. So they draw these lines up here, a line down here, and a line right here. Well, guess what? You have 3 outs, and there's only 3 different options that could happen. You're right when it goes up, you're right when it's here, you're right when it's down. And then they look like geniuses, and I'm just like, because I watch some of the best chart guys, like, oh my God, he's right again. And I look at the chart and go, oh shit, he couldn't have been wrong either way. He gave you all the scenarios. That's like if I was like, here's the 3 scenarios for the day. The sun will come up. At one point, it will come down. Or the sun will be covered up in the clouds. Will be covering the sun, and it won't be so bright outside. I guarantee you, at some point, one of those 3 options will happen in any place you are in the world. Some places don't have sunlight. I think even in Alaska. Might be right either way if I give you 3 lines. Read Diffusion's tweet about the PDAI minter. He gives an explanation like 9 Iron Capital. You got to link me up. Alright, said himself that he only mentions his coins and he mentioned PDAI a few times. Yeah. That's one way to look at it, man. Who else is a big... Take a look here. Oh, what is Haiti? They call her Haiti P. What is she saying that got B Roots all fired up? I wonder. Oh, probably these tweets. I mean, these are just receipts of what Maria's saying. I mean, she says a lot of stuff for a long time. Her opinion has never meant anything to me to get a reaction, to be like, want to fight with her publicly with a woman like that, or even a man, The fact is, nobody knows what's going on. There's only a few people who really know. And I don't think any of them that are tweeting about it actually know. Oh, you linked it on your... Oh, you linked it on my X post. Let me take a look. Give me a second. Go back to this wallet. All right. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. We'll take a look. This is the one that is sending around to everybody. So what's actually happening, I read this one, with PDAI and Maker. This thread's to provide clarity of what's going on with PDAI these past few days, what to expect moving forward, and what's ahead in the coming days. I will split the thread into multiple pieces. All right. So yeah, I read this. The 5996 is a dev team we have been following since the address was created. This address is directly associated with the 29AC and the 0000 dev addresses. We've been tracking them for over 1.5 years, which were used to facilitate the PDAI and PUSD 1-to-1 ratio, leading to a more stable PDAI price. We will never have a definitive answer as whether this is a dev team. Whether this is a dev team, it's a good actor or bad. But more evidence suggests they are good due to the variable actions. Let me digest that word right now. No definitive answer whether they're good or bad actors. More evidence suggests, well, how much more? In the recent extraction and bringing down the price and bridging out to Ethereum, is probably all that people know outside of the evidence that they're probably not posting. We may not be understand it. What people understand is selling the token and bridging it out of pulse chain. How is 5996 minting? Let's see. There's a whole lot to read here. It's these collateral auctions they're talking about again. Someone's going through a lot of work here. For bad or evil, for good or evil, there's so much work being put into this, guys. It's ridiculous. There's Sami. Wow, this is a great write-up. I'll cover it later when I get a chance. I'm sure you will. Yeah. I don't know, man. Beats me. Fodder facts. This is like hard to process things like this because you just want your heart tells you, I want this to peg. It's got a peg. Then your brain's like, man, that ain't gonna peg. Something needs to extract about it. So many different sides to the story here, so many different things. What in the hell is going on? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, did you guys check out the print launch last night? Holy smokes. I love fast, but man. So there was like a 33% airdrop to the team. Of the ink printer token. These dudes just dumped the hell out of it. Like the moment they launched, dumped their tokens. And Fast was on like a VC during what was happening. He's like, I haven't sold my tokens. There's no expectations. I don't know what the team's doing. They're literally, while he's on a VC, dumping tokens they got airdropped. A lot, man. And I've seen these ink printer, like these lending platforms launch before. I had never seen that type of dump at launch like that. Like never. I was like extremely alarmed and bothered by it. I trust Fast, but I was like, bro, like that doesn't look good. If we didn't get the SEC extension, we would have been a few days away from RH stream where he could have answered some of these questions. I don't think we are close to an RH stream. No. He's on the run, guys, from tax evasion. We can't forget that. He is running from the law, tax evasion. Right? If we want to make a strong comparison, the SEC, this is going back when it wasn't legal, is like a possession of marijuana charge. While in Finland, is tax evasion is like a murder charge. Like the difference between the two. All right. One, they'll put people in prison with the SEC. You're not going to go to prison or jail for having some marijuana at one point, right? You get a slap on the wrist, a fine. The other one, you serve some serious time and you go on the run for serious crimes. Murderers, people who evade taxes, and people like drug lords go on the run. When they've broken a serious law, that they'll do some serious time. And before you do your serious time, you'll still do some serious time for 1 to 2 years sitting in the pinta, in the pen, for your trial and your court date. So there's not any way to deny that if he starts live streaming, he can give up his location. He ain't going to do that. He's on the run. I don't know how he's going to resolve that issue, but until it's resolved, of course he'll live stream. Most people think like he's not live streaming because of the SEC. The SEC doesn't put you in jail, so why would he be running from them? You know, well, he doesn't want to say certain things, may be the case, but he's tweeting. If he does a live stream, man, they can pinpoint you. You never know. Too risky. Look at Almighty's post from yesterday. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Almighty, in regards to whatchamacallit, printer. Yeah, I saw it. But I saw it also happen in real time. It's hard for me to believe that RH wouldn't say anything about PDAI or Trump for the past year and then let them extract value from Pulse Chain. RH believes in freedom of speech. RH believes that freedom of speech lives within the blockchain. So technically, if he believes in freedom of speech, it's freedom to do good and bad via blockchain. That would be part of his ethos. Technically, right? Not saying it is, but technically it would cover all grounds. So if he says anything about it, good or bad, it's always been a way he's done things when it comes to tokens. When it comes to platforms, that's a different things. Like he will tell you, like, get your crypto off that exchange. He's never said the name of Zen. He just called it the Forever Down token. He just laughed about it, but he never said, like, don't invest in that. That's not a good investment, right? He's acting differently when it comes to talking about cryptocurrency. So for him to come out and be like, that's a scam, don't invest in it, I've never seen him do that, particularly about a token. He'll talk about blockchains and centralized exchanges, like blockchains when they do stupid shit, like the Solana going down. He had a conversation about a blockchain. He didn't even say the chain's name today. We all know the chain's name that minted the 70 billion tokens, that burned it and then minted them, right? It's interesting how he operates. It really is. But anyways, let's see what happens. We got a few more days until the Willy Flop auction, right? Willy Wonka's auction, PDAI factory, MakerDAO factory. We will know soon. Time stops for nobody. We will know very soon what is really going on behind the scenes. Two roads, rich or wreck, baby. You got to choose which one you're going to be. You know, I'm my exposure. It is what it is. I'm risky for the biscuits. See what happens. You know, keep my exposure to that. Ride or die. PDAI or die trying. I can't live with myself if it did peg and I sold everything. But I can live with myself if it went to zero. I'll be okay with that. But if it went to $1, I lose too much sleep. Don't forget to pound the like button. Drop a comment. And next time, we'll do it again. Yeah.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat. Mining sprees. And we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat. Mining sprees. And we're farming all around, including got me on Avex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zoopy on Phantom, I got a few nodes. Sticking my Reks, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat. Mining sprees. And we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat. Mining sprees. And we're farming all around.